We see rapidly changing access to care models. The emergence of virtual care is an important example of this. We have seen consistent growth in virtual care over the past decade, and it has rapidly accelerated further during the COVID pandemic. At Cigna, we see this trend continuing and accelerating further, moving well beyond urgent care to primary, coordinated chronic, and behavioral care. This is not only because virtual care provides a better healthcare experience in many cases, but it also significantly lowers medical costs, thereby improving affordability. In fact, we see the power of virtual care fueling our ability to drive total costs below CPI and ultimately to zero or less. You'll hear more about this and how we expect to utilize MD Live over the course of the rest of our meeting. At the same time, when we see aspects of care that we think are unique or differentiated, such as specialty pharmacy, behavioral, or virtual care, we seek to own them. Our planned acquisition of MD Live is a great example of that.
But partnership is also an enabler that allows us to innovate much more quickly and effectively than we could on our own. In fact, you could say partnership is in our DNA, and it's also at the heart of our strategy. We know that to deliver on our promise of affordability, simplicity, and predictability, we must be the undisputed partner of choice for anyone seeking to make healthcare better. That starts with our own relentless focus on innovation, supported by our 2021 capital investment of $1 billion in capital expenditures devoted primarily to technologies that will support and help our growth. Our collaboration with others takes on a number of forms, ranging from partnership to co-investment, and in some cases, strategic acquisition. In 2018, for example, Cigna committed $250 million to Cigna Ventures to fund investments in promising startups and growth stage companies. Cigna Ventures serves as a periscope that allows us to monitor emerging trends and to invest in the companies whose innovations have the potential to address them. MD Live was a Cigna Ventures investment and is a perfect example of this concept in action. When virtual care delivery was still in its infancy, we partnered with MD Live to give members in our employee-sponsored health plans access to virtual urgent care services. In 2019, we expanded the partnership to include virtual behavioral health. And in 2020, we added primary care services. When the pandemic started, MD Live quickly became the destination for virtual care. And we deployed hundreds of additional Cigna clinical colleagues to the platform to help meet demand. Our partnership with MD Live met all three of the strategic partnership drivers I mentioned earlier by creating mutual value, accelerating the pace of innovation, and expanding our addressable market. Our acquisition of MD Live is a natural evolution, building on years of successful partnership and co-investment to arrive at a strategic acquisition that will create a core engine for our future state virtual care solutions.
You've also heard this morning about our pending acquisition of MD Live and virtual care overall. So now I'll focus in further on how our innovation and virtual enablement will increase our addressable market, including the opportunity presented with the proposed acquisition. We all know that COVID has accelerated the change in how we define site of care and access, the desire for alternative options, and the rate of digital adoption. We expect a durable shift in the way consumers, providers, and employers perceive and expect access to virtual care. As an example, the shift is particularly notable in behavioral health, where we saw a full 60% of our visits move to a virtual setting during the pandemic. That level has remained steady over the last year. We expect to see sustained growth in virtual care over the next decade. And with this as context, we see an environment where both the marketplace need for and acceptance of virtual care is growing, and our capabilities position us to deliver a broader reach of several types of care. We aim to enable virtual care well beyond today's telemedicine marketplace. We will deliver primary care, more coordinated chronic care services, and coordinated behavioral services, all enabled virtually. We have positioned ourselves strategically to be able to pursue and advance this shift in care access with the positioning complemented by MD Live. And we're able to avoid the channel conflict many of our competitors have, relative to needing to feed volume through existing fixed or bricks and mortar delivery models. Our focus on virtual care will lead to multiple benefits that fuel our right to win, including everything from early identification and diagnosis of critical care needs, and better medication management that improves safety and adherence, to more timely and cost-effective patient-provider interactions, and easy access to appropriate, lower-cost sites of service and pharmaceutical fulfillment. In short, we expect our virtual care capabilities to contribute meaningfully to our ability to improve affordability and offer a superior experience. This will ultimately fuel expansion not only for the Evernorth addressable market, but also the entire enterprise's addressable market.
First, I'll start off. We've had a long-standing relationship and partnership with MD Live. They have, up until this point, predominantly supplied urgent care, as well as some elements of primary care, and then also some elements of health and wellness and preventive care for us on this context. And that's really translated very well in terms of access. It's translated very well to lower cost sites of care, higher generic medication utilization, and better and improved in-network reference points and directive points, as well as we've talked about in our prepared comments, really strong customer experience from that perspective. As we look to the future, and you recall in my prepared comments, talked about 4 major affordability dimensions that we're pursuing. We actually see that MD Live will be an accelerant across all 4 of those dimensions. So specifically, we see leveraging this asset, combined with the existing assets within the organization, of really driving longitudinal primary care, chronic care, complex care, and very importantly, you heard Joan talk about behavioral care. So from that aspect, it's very, very complementary in terms of the capabilities we have, and will serve to be a really critical element from an affordability perspective. Let me turn it over to Eric, who'll talk to you about the growth opportunities here.
Great, thanks, Matt. As I think about MD Live, there's a couple of key points I want you to take away from the overall messaging here. First of all, we expect and will position MD Live to work to be a growth driver in the pursuit of the affordability that Matt just talked about. But it'll be a growth driver in partnership with our U.S. medical business. It will be a growth driver in partnership and collaboration with our Evernorth clients as well. And so think about MD Live will be positioned as one of the capabilities within Evernorth to be a growth driver. And we do think that MD Live will be an integrated approach. And so there will be opportunities in terms of all of the Evernorth businesses interacting seamlessly with one another and working to drive additional value through that interconnectivity.
Suffice to say, a lot going on here. We see it as complementary and extension of the delivery system. We see it as an opportunity to have more coordinated care and services, and it'll be an asset and set of capabilities like many of the assets and set of capabilities in our portfolio we'll continue to invest in and innovate and evolve on a go-forward basis.